talking with the families of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims, and in just a minute we're going to be talking with Jeffrey Dahmer's parents, their first time coming on a talk show since their son was murdered in a Wisconsin prison. You had a comment. I guess you were just as moved as the rest of us watching Rita in court that day. You have what to say?
Very moved. I just wanted to commend you for your bravery on coming out here today and speaking. I'm sure every time you talk about it hurts, but maybe also helps. Just want you to know we're all with you.
We are with you. That's very good. How do you move on? I mean, because a lot of us are really in awe that you have so much courage to do what you're doing today. Where do you get that from? How do you keep on with your lives?
Well, it was hard before his death, but since his death has happened, we're going to turn this into a business, and we know that he wouldn't like that. So this is our way of getting back at him.
Right. Because all the money in the world would never be able to, you know, bring our loved ones back or anything, you know, but he owes me. The city owes me, the police department owes me, they all owe me money.
So you're angry.
Money or whatever.
We're very angry.
We're really upset about the whole thing.
And we're going to fight just in case if this should happen again, which when we finish, I don't think whoever tries to commit a hideous crime like this will think twice, because we're going to put a stop to this.
Because there's always going to be another Jeffrey Dahmer out there. He's probably running around the streets right now, but he hasn't got discovered. So we are here to educate the public, you know, as victims. We're the victims. We've always been victimized by everybody.
Because you know something, this could happen to any of us. Nobody's immune
Everyone
to this.
here in this audience is a target.
You said that you weren't real happy with the way you were treated in court during that whole case either.
No,
we were just treated awful. You know, we couldn't have showed any emotions, or else the lawyers will call it outbursts. But then you can get the general public in there that were admirers of the serial killer, and they can say whatever they wanted to say, but the families weren't allowed to say anything.
And we were very exhausted. The trial started from sun up until sundown. We were there every day. We couldn't go to sleep. We couldn't show no emotion. Even the judge went to sleep. He was actually sitting there asleep. When we dozed off, the sheriff would come over there and tap us, and if he had to come twice, he would escort us out of the courtroom. Before we got to the courtroom, we had to be searched. But Shari and Lionel Dahmer had reserved seats. They had private entry. I didn't understand that. We are the victims, not them. It's their son that did this to us.
Right. We were treated like the criminals. That's how we were treated in court.
From the audience.
Well, on that last statement about how you were treated in court, I'd just like to say thank you for the 25-year-old inmate who took care of this little problem for us. Secondly, to the attorney, I'd like to know what type of monetary gain are these families going to receive, seeing how there's really nothing left now but monetary gain.
That isn't true. We've got judgments already for the 8 families that I represent, and $10 million against Jeffrey Dahmer. Other families have gotten judgments. I want to make a couple points. The families all have to stick together. Any efforts I do for my 8 families, it applies equally to all the families. Now, what we have, the one thing that we can do to get money for the families is get the artifacts that were in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment when he was arrested. That's in police custody now. I want that property. I want it sold at a public auction. It's got to be here in New York. This is where it all happens. We're going to have an auction of all Jeffrey Dahmer's property. This is going to be what we call
Now, Thomas, you're talking about drills, you're talking about
chainsaws,
you're talking about residue left on carpets.
Everything.
Everything.
Rolonda, what Jeffrey Dahmer did to my brother, I don't care if I have to sell his tooth. Okay? Because that's just how I feel.
There will also be, this is gross, but this is the reality. There's also the painted skull you talked about. The skeleton. Is that part of what you're talking about?
We draw the line on the pictures and that type of thing.
Okay.
It's going to be the concrete property, like it's going to be the vat, the refrigerator, the hypodermic needle, the handcuffs. We got videos that he used to watch. The Exorcist, where
The Exorcist 3 is where he got his...
he was doing in his victims, that type of thing. We're going to draw the line on some items. I want to say one thing. The overall thing you must remember when the Dahmers come on. Jeffrey Dahmer lied, and lied. Just keep that in mind when you listen to the Dahmer family. What this is about is who gets the money, who profits off of serial crimes and murders. Is it going to be the murderer and his family, or is it going to be the victims? and we got to be on the side of the victims, and that's what I'm all about.
Right.
And when we come right back, we'll talk to Mr. and Mrs. Dahmer. We'll be back in a moment.
Myself why I don't have the death penalty. Death would be preferable to years of nothingness spent here.